So this is it, the final episode of the boss inspection. And for the final installment in the series in which I analyze boss battles in its entirety, I decided to tackle one that I really love. I have talked about it in the past, but it has been like what, 3 years since I last mentioned it? Yeah. I am so excited because it's time to finally talk about this amazing boss battle once again, in depth. You know I'm talking of course about Xion from Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. I mean, you read the title of the video, it was pretty obvious at this point, I don't know why I made this build up. So let's get into it. Oh yeah, and spoilers for Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. Yeah, I know it's obvious and you possibly don't care, but I'm going to spoil this game a lot. Actually, my original copy of this game was broken. This was actually sent by one of my fans, so yeah, even if I'm going to end this channel, it's never too late to send me free games. Thanks a lot, Charlie. Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, it's far, oh so very far from being a perfect game, let alone one of the better Kingdom Hearts titles. It's full of flaws, some of which I talk about in my review of that game, that you can watch if you click right here. I'm going to miss that stupid recurring joke of my channel in which I say, plugging videos is bad, I'm a fucking moron. And the boss battles are no exception, most of them are either bland or just very annoying. Fuck you, Lich Grave! And honestly, this makes me enjoy the fight against Shion even more, because it may be the only non-awful boss in the entire game. And for very good reasons. It's fun, it's emotional, it's epic, and I'm going to explain it in full detail why I love this fight so much and why I chose it for the final episode of the boss inspection. First of all, let me explain the convoluted and confusing yet oddly touching and emotional backstory behind it all. Remember, this is Kingdom Hearts I'm going to talk about, so yeah, it's going to get a bit confusing, so please bear with me on this one. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. 358 over 2 days tells the story of the time Roxas spent in Organization 13, where he befriended Axel and a mysterious new character called Shion, a girl that had very similar powers and abilities, even the same Keyblade. After developing a close and kinda sweet friendship with her, they discover that she's a replica, a puppet made by the organization that was supposed to absorb all of Roxas's abilities so they could have someone who could harvest hearts with the Keyblade under their control inside the organization, and also so Sora would never wake up since she was also absorbing the part of Sora's memories that were inside of Roxas. They were killing two birds with one stone basically. But this puppet started to develop a mind of her own and began to look like Kairi, Sora's most important memory. Oh, isn't that sweet? While she lacks a bit in the personality department, Shion is actually a very interesting and tragic character, and yeah, she's also kind of cute, but if you love her as much as I do, get ready because she doesn't get a happy ending. A lot of stuff happens after this plot twist is uncovered. Shion tries to escape several times but fails miserably because Axel is so stubborn he keeps bringing her back. Roxas and Axel have an argument that makes him escape the organization like a bitch, and Xemnas reprograms Shion so she has to fight Roxas, kill him, and absorb all of his powers. Yeah, it gets pretty intense. This plot is silly, it's confusing, but I really like it, to be honest. Despite all of its shortcomings, the story of Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days is actually one of my favorites in all of gaming. It's interesting, it's depressing, it's sweet, it's emotional, and it actually touches a lot of themes that Kingdom Hearts doesn't usually tackle, like death, sacrifice, your purpose in life, and ice cream. A lot of ice cream. I am like, what, 5 minutes into the video, yet I still haven't talked about the boss battle in question? Well, yeah, but remember this is Kingdom Hearts we're talking about. Of course I'm going to spend a lot of time explaining this mess of a plot. I know, it sounds dumb, but trust me, the motivation and the backstory behind it are at least half of the reason of why I love the Xion boss battle so much. So yeah, it's really important that I explain it in detail, and I hope you paid attention. Because there's an exam about this next week, and if you want to pass Kingdom Hearts High School, I hope you paid attention, buddy. So, Shion and Roxas meet at Twilight Town, she does some weird stuff. They teleport to Wonderland, the song Shroud in Dark Cloud begins to play, and so the first phase of this great final boss begins. Here, Shion will grow some wings, summon a fancy long Keyblade and attack mostly by air by performing some quick slashes. Your best strategy is to block multiple times until she's closer to the ground. that's your time to strike. Phase 1 works exactly like you would expect from the first phase of a long multi-phased final boss. It's simple and clean, I mean it's easy, it's simple and easy, but moderately fun. It won't take you much time to deplete her health and move on to phase 2, it's some really good and fun stuff. Nothing too complicated. For this one, Xion will teleport to Halloween Town with the song Beam and Vigor playing, and she will wield a weird yet cool looking keyblade that actually fits the world perfectly. And sadly, phase 2 is where the Xion boss battle loses a lot of points. It starts off well with some regular combos with that long weapon of hers, but as soon as she starts using Ragnarok, this phase can become incredibly annoying. The only real way of avoiding this attack is to glide. To glide really fast. If you don't hurry up even for a second, it's going to hit you and is most likely going to kill you unless you get very lucky. Yep, it's an attack that is extremely tricky to avoid and will end up in a one-hit kill most of the times. Oh, and she uses it a lot. Yeah, she really likes to spam Ragnarok, so prepare to die during this phase. Ugh, it's just cheap and it stains what could have perfectly been the perfect Kingdom Hearts boss. I personally played this boss fight so many times that the Ragnarok attack during the second phase is not a problem for me anymore, but the first time I played it, it was the bane of my existence. I just wanted to go forward on this emotional boss battle, but I got stuck on Mr. Cheap Halloween Spammer here. While it doesn't quite ruin the entire boss fight for me, this is definitely the worst part of the entire battle, especially if it's your first time facing her. After that little misstep, everything gets back on track during phase 3. Xion will teleport to Agrabah while the song Fight and Await plays in the background. She will grow 4 arms with 4 blades, and if this sounds like it's about to get challenging, it's because it does. I like to think that each phase during the Xion battle works as different types of bosses combined into one. Phase 1 is simple but fun. Phase 2 is cheap and annoying, and phase 3 is challenging yet satisfying and fair. She will fly around the room wielding those swords like the absolute madman she is. As Roxas, you will have to be extremely careful whenever you decide to attack Xion, or else you will get stuck between her swords. Luckily for you, she doesn't have much health during phase 3, so it never ever comes its welcome and it keeps itself short but challenging. Before we move on to the final phase, I want to wrap up the first 3 because I think they are mostly good. First of all, I want to address how clever it is in its presentation. Switching each phase of the final boss to a different Disney world that you have visited during the game is exactly what I would expect from Kingdom Hearts, and I find it very weird that no other game in the franchise before or after this one did this with their final boss. And the change of music during each phase is also enjoyable and clever, since it will switch to the theme of a boss that either Sora or Roxas previously faced in that exact same world. It's genius, especially considering Xion's memory motif. Like I said, each phase represents a different type of boss battle in my eyes, and I really enjoy playing through the first and third ones. I got used to the second one to the point it doesn't annoy me that much anymore, but yeah, it can get frustrating as hell. Speaking of frustrating, if there's one big flaw all 3 phases have in common, is that sometimes Xion can regenerate her health while protecting herself with a shield that can damage you. Okay, yeah, it's not that big of a deal, since she really telegraphs it so you have enough time to stop her, but if you fail to do so, she will regain a fair amount of health, which can really hinder your progress, and that gets annoying, especially during a long final boss, so yeah, be careful and observant. After all of this, you would think it's over. Roxas sees Xion in the distance, but just when he tries to reach her,
you just got pranked, bro!
he is teleported to the clock tower in Twilight Town, and there she is. A giant Xion with an upgraded armor that looks exactly like Sora, wielding 2 gigantic keyblades. Oh yeah, it's time for this epic boss battle to come to an end, and it's so awesome. Xion Sila here will attack Roxas by casting Thunder and Gravity, performing deadly combos with those giant weapons, using Magic Hour, you know, that powerful attack with the Pillars of Light, and summoning a giant light cannon from the sky. All of these attacks are really big and impressive in their scope, and they just build that epic atmosphere very appropriate for the final boss. Avoiding or blocking them takes just the right amount of skill and patience. If anything, This final phase is perfectly balanced. It's not too hard, but not too easy, unless you are over-leveled of course. It's just very entertaining and I never get tired of it, no matter how many times I played, and trust me, I have played this boss battle a lot. If I have a problem with the final phase of Xion's boss fight, is the fact that sometimes she will just stay there doing nothing. But considering that she has a lot of health, and that she actually wants Roxas to defeat her, it actually makes a lot of sense, so I don't really care if it makes the battle a bit easier at times. I seriously couldn't ask for a better final phase to such a long boss battle. I know I say this a lot, but the scenario itself is so freaking powerful and emotional. You got two best friends fighting to the death, and one of them actually wants to be killed. It manages to be so epic, yet so tragic at the same time. The emotional context behind it makes the final phase against Xion a lot more personal to me, and it just makes the entire fight even better than it already was. I love it! And the music really helps building the emotional impact in this phase. The theme in question is called Vector to the Heavens. It combines parts of other pieces of music from the series, like Roxas' theme or Kairi's theme, while adding some original parts that sound really beautiful, but still make you want to go on with this fight against your best friend. The music is the icing on the cake of Xion's boss battle. Hahaha, get it? It even sounds really good with the DS's sound scheme. Obviously, this song was made even better when Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix was released and it was fully orchestrated, but just when I thought my personal musical goddess, Shoko Shimomura, couldn't make this song even better, she went off and fully remixed it and reorchestrated Vector to the Heavens for her recent album Memoria, and it sounds so good! This is completely irrelevant to the actual boss fight, but I just mention it because the Memoria version of Vector to the Heavens is actually my favorite piece of music ever. Like really, I know this is a really big statement to make, but this is seriously too beautiful and it gives an orgasm to my ears every time I listen to it. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube now? I am fucking disgusting. Remember, this is my final boss inspection episode, so I thought I would go all in with it, no restraints, mention every single little detail I love about the boss battle against Xion, so here's some of the more smaller and more symbolic stuff about it. Trust me, there's a lot of symbolism here, and with good reason considering Xion is basically made of Sora's memories. Like I said before, she will teleport to Wonderland, Halloween Town and Agrabah, worlds that both Roxas and Sora visited in the past. And during the battle she actually uses some of Sora's most popular limit breaks. Phase 1 uses Sonic Blade, Phase 2 will annoy you to death with Ragnarok of course, and Phase 3 uses a powered up version of Ars Arcanum. Heck, this one even looks like Corteza from Kingdom Hearts 1. Every detail is just so freaking clever. I don't even have to mention how the final phase is set in the Twilight Town Clock Tower, which is as much of a symbol of Roxas's, Xion and Axel's friendship as much as sea salt ice cream. And if you thought that was a lot of clever symbolism, even the name of the song has some hidden meaning to it. A vector is a quantity that has a defined size and direction, so it basically means that Xion has only one direction established, heavens. Not only because she's going to die but also because Sora in Japanese means sky or heaven. Xion's only direction is to go back to Sora so he can have his memories back. Wow, that was actually kind of deep and beautiful. Square Enix, you cheeky bastards. But don't let my enthusiasm fool you. You would have to be pretty naive to think that this final phase, let alone the entire boss fight, it's perfect. For example, I always felt that the slow and clunky combat system of Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days really hinders this boss battle's potential. This is caused by the DS's limitation of course. If this was another title in the series like Kingdom Hearts 2, I feel like a smoother combat system would make this boss fight a lot more epic, dynamic and fun. Maybe if we ever get a remake of 358 over 2 days, which I doubt would happen at this point, this is a problem that could be fixed. I would really like to see that happen. So, how do you end a beautiful and tragic final boss? Well, with a beautiful and tragic death scene of course! After a long battle, Roxas finally kills Xion, just like she wanted, and she begins to vanish. This cutscene after the boss fight is just so sad. I really can't put it into words, but I always tear up when I watch it. And I didn't even mention the fact that, since she is made from Sora's memories, once they go back with him, nobody will remember Xion ever existed. Hell, Roxas doesn't even realize that his best friend is dying in his arms until the last second. This makes the scene even sadder, more tragic, and more beautiful. But even if she knew this would happen to her, Xion still decided to sacrifice herself in order to save her friends and the world. Seeing her saying goodbye to Roxas, telling him how much he and Axel meant for her, and how she strokes his face, and the music, and it really gets to me. I know my fans have always seen me as a very manly guy, so yeah, there's no way a silly video game is going to make me cry. Oh, screw it, I can't hold it anymore!
Shion, why, Shion, why?
Oh, and I guess I will have to address this elephant in the room.
Shion! Who else will I have ice cream with?
Look, there's multiple videos online explaining and defending that line. I said many times why I don't think it's dumb and why it doesn't ruin the moment for me, and I am just tired of it, and I am sure you are too, so what I'm going to do is explain it carefully on written form, so just pause the video and read it. You are done? You got it? Alright, so let's move on from this and finally conclude this video. Look, I'll be real here. I know this boss fight has some flaws. Xion's entire character arc is flawed. The storyline of this fucking game is flawed. It's all silly and confusing. Heck, I will even admit that some people may not find her death scene to be sad at all. And you know what? That's completely fine. Actually, it isn't. Fuck you. Nah, let's be serious here. This is a storyline that really clicked with me for some reason, and that's why this long final boss really got to me. The emotional value of Xion's story had a big impact on me, mainly her friendship with Roxas and especially Axel, who remember is my favorite character in gaming. She is just a really tragic character with an interesting story about loss, friendship, sacrifice, and questioning your own existence for the good of others. You may disagree with me, think I'm dumb, or just don't see it yourself, but this is a good boss fight that means a lot to me. In conclusion, or as I like to call it, the too long didn't watch part of the video, the final battle against Xion is a long boss with 3 phases that play very different from each other, and they are set in some of the Disney worlds of the game, and it has a final phase that gives me goosebumps, with a lot of emotional impact, a tragic tone, and an intense atmosphere, all combined with very balanced and very fun gameplay, and the most beautiful piece of music a boss battle could ask for. This one has issues, yeah, but it's a really good boss fight nonetheless, for a game that really didn't have any good ones. Oh yeah, and there's a brief fight against Riku after this one, but it's so short and easy that you shouldn't consider it the final boss. Xion is the real deal. You may not remember that the boss inspection had a gimmicky, stupid score system that I used in every episode. And if you ask me which one I would give to the boss battle against Xion, I would say it's a standout because it's the only really good boss battle in a game that really didn't have any good boss battles. But all of that is not important today. Why? Because the boss battle against Xion in Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days is my favorite boss battle of all time. I am not kidding. Objectively speaking, if you ask me what I think are some of the best bosses in gaming history, I would never mention this one. I would of course say Liquid Ocelot, or Virgil, or even Roxas from KH2 Final Mix, but regardless of that, this is my very personal favorite one that I hold in an emotional place, for all the reasons I already listed. I mean, I spent like, 20 minutes talking about a mediocre boss fight from a mediocre game? Yeah, I know it's stupid, but hey, it was a very special video, so I had to do whatever I wanted with it. So yeah, I really like this game, Xion, and the boss battle against her despite all of their stupid flaws. This was the final episode of the boss inspection. Thanks a lot for your support over the year, guys. Doing this series was a lot of fun for me, talking about boss battles. It was great, and I really hope I can still do it in Spanish over my new channel, and I get all of your support if you want to. Before I go, I want to know, what is your favorite boss battle of all time? You can tell me in the comments, or hell, even make a video about it. I would love to see that. Thanks a lot for watching the first of my final 3 videos. I am Obsidious fan, and I really love you guys. I will see you next time. If you are still confused about this whole final videos thing, I suggest you check out my recent update where I explain everything about my departure from this channel in detail. Wow, I haven't talked in English for months, so doing this video was kind of hard for me. I apologize if I mispronounce some stuff here and there. I really need to study up on my English after this long hiatus. Don't forget that Obsidious Fan is not over yet. I still have 2 more videos in production for you, so stick around.